Stephen Colbert on the end of The Late Show. Stephen Colbert is by the pool at the Chateau Marmont in West Hollywood wearing bathing trunks, a robe, and nothing else. GQ's idea, not his. It's been about 2 months since CBS canceled The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. 24 hours from now, Colbert and his staff will win their second Emmy of the year, the first 2 that the show has won since Colbert started doing The Late Show. The crowd will give Colbert a standing ovation right at the beginning of the ceremony. Right this second he's in the robe, about to get into the pool, and holding a lit joint that I maybe think I see him smoking, but when I mention it later, this is his response. "You cannot prove that I was smoking unless you want to do a blood test right now." Then he tells me to get a warrant. Are you a cop? I am not a cop. When CBS canceled The Late Show, it had been the #1 show in late night for the better part of 9 years. CBS described the choice as purely a financial decision against a challenging backdrop in late night. It is not related in any way to the show's performance, content, or other matters happening at Paramount. The other matters happening at Paramount at the time were a planned merger with Skydance Media, now complete, and a $16 million settlement the company had recently paid to President Donald Trump over a 60 Minutes related lawsuit. Colbert, on air 2 days before his show was canceled, said that this kind of settlement has a technical name in legal circles. It's big fat bribe. Colbert is not exactly new to causing national moments of controversy. In his previous guise as Stephen Colbert, right-coded pundit host of The Colbert Report, he once ran for president. He also gave a speech so memorably caustic in front of President George W. Bush at the 2006 White House Correspondents' Dinner that the non-character version of Colbert stopped reading the news about himself entirely. One of many fun things about Colbert is that the same guy who goes on television and inspires the personal ire of multiple presidents is also a Lord of the Rings superfan, devout Catholic, and suburban dad. "My life's an open book," he tells me. "Good. Then I fooled you already," he says. When we speak, Jimmy Kimmel hasn't yet been suspended and then reinstated. Colbert is at this point late night's first and only casualty. Stephen Colbert, strangely, everything is normal because the show is never normal. I've got 9 months of shows to do. I can't be thinking about it ending in May. I've got to think about the show on Monday. So when you say, "How's the show? Perfectly normal?" Well, yeah. It wasn't that normal when I had to tell everybody that the show was ending, but the next Monday, I had to do a show. Does 9 months feel like a long time or a short time right now? The end has a discernible shape, but it still seems like a long way away. Can you describe that shape? The image I have is a man walking toward me in the dusk, and he's got something in his hand, and I don't know whether it's a knife or an ice cream cone, but he's asking me if I'd like a lick. I can't tell if this is a bit or this is real. What are you talking about? Why would this be a bit? By the way, it is hard to tell whether things are real or a bit sometimes to me. Every day you have to come up with a bit about something that was real. So, after a while, it's hard to tell what's a bit and what's real because you see other people engaging in performative behavior all the time, and it's hard to know if they're sincere about it. And at a certain point, it doesn't matter if they're sincere about it because their behavior has an effect. You've been attaching your mouth to the exhaust pipe of news for, I don't know. That sounds vaguely suicidal. You've been running your car in the closed garage of media for 20 years. Are you getting a little woozy? Yeah, I'm getting a little woozy. Listen, it's possible that George Cheeks at the time, co-CEO of Paramount and the president and CEO of CBS, saved my life. I'll get a little oxygen back into my brain. I love what we do and I love the grind. You can only do one of these shows, do the jokes every night, year after year for 20 years if you give a damn at all about what you're talking about. And I do. But there is a sense of relief that I might not have to put on the snorkel and get into the sewer every day. You have been doing this for a long time. Do you have any coping mechanisms when you kind of have to interact with the world so relentlessly? Yeah. The show itself. The great thing about comedy, not to take anything away from drama, but the great thing about comedy is that you know when it works. The audience makes this noise with their mouth. And that can't really be faked. And you get instantly a sense of we're here together, and that you've hooked up your jumper cables to them, and that there's an energy that goes to you to them, and them to you. When it's really working well, you walk off stage with more energy than when you walked on stage. I've never been sick on stage. I've been very sick. I did a show where I had a burst appendix and I did a double show. I didn't know my appendix was burst. I didn't know what was wrong with me, but I was sweating and thought I might pass out, and I was in so much pain that I was crying in commercial breaks. But doing the show, I could just get through it. And I did 2 shows. I did a double show that night. And then afterwards my wife made sure that my driver took me straight to the hospital, and I got there, and they said, "Oh, you have a burst appendix. We have to take this out right away." But the point is that the show itself is a gift. That energy that you get back from the audience? Laughter is the best medicine. And boy, the only better medicine than that is making other people laugh. And yet the show is ending. And yet the show is ending. Really early on in the old Colbert Report, we liked the idea that the character didn't know he was on a comedy channel because he took himself very seriously, and he really was changing the course of human history with the tractor beam of his own justice. And so the way Jon Stewart would toss to me from The Daily Show, we would toss to the morning show on Comedy Central, which we called YED, which stood for Yet Another Day. And I love the desperation of that, of having to go on and do yet another day. And yet, no matter how much I enjoy it or the audience might enjoy it, yes, the show is ending. You found out in July. Have you wrapped your head around it?
No.
No. Not at all.
No.
I mean, I have accepted it. I've wrapped my head around that. But in terms of how I feel about it, no, I don't know because the shows go on. I don't necessarily know how I'll feel about it until I'm not doing it anymore, because it's all-consuming. What did you feel when you found out? I was surprised. Listen, every show's got to end at some time. And I've been on a bunch of shows that have ended sometimes by our lights and sometimes by the decision of other people. And that's just the nature of show business. You can't worry about that. You got to be a big boy about that. But I think we're the first #1 show to ever get canceled. You guys have been #1 since 2016.
Exactly.
And I called a friend of mine who's also in late night, and I was trying to work out my feelings, and I said, "You got any thoughts on this?" And he goes, no one's going to have any thoughts on this. No one's ever been the #1 show for 9 years in a row and then been canceled. And so that surprised me. When I signed my 2012 contract for the Colbert Report, I went to my assistant, I said, "Hey, what's our last show of 2014? And she goes, "It looks like December 18th. I said, "Oh, good to know." And I started writing that last show myself. Basically, the entirety of that last show was something that I thought of really in the next month. And then I thought I was going to leave that and go. I've been an actor my entire career. I had a whole show that I had planned out of what I was going to do, and it was actually going to involve that old character in a new job, and he would be like a central figure, but he wouldn't be the only character in it. And I might still do it someday, but that was my plan. And then taking over for Letterman fell on my lap, but I had a plan of how to end it. I knew the songs we were going to sing. I knew the jokes we were going to do. I knew how I wanted it shot. Everything. This is not my choice. So I don't know how we're going to land this plane, but people have asked me, "Well, what do you think you're going to do next?" And the cleanest and really fullest answer I can give you, not that I don't have thoughts, is the honest answer is I just want to land this plane gracefully in a way that I find satisfying, given how much effort we've put into it for the last 10 years. That's a long answer. You want shorter answers, or is that okay? No, I love a longer answer. This is real life. So when they called you and told you, they didn't call me and tell me. My manager told me. No one called you?
No.
They told him. They told him, and he told me. He said, "Hey, do you have 15 minutes? I'm going to stop by." And I said, "Sure." So I got off and I said to my assistant, I said, "Baby doll, because my manager is James Baby Doll Dixon. Baby doll wants 15 minutes in person? Usually like 5 minutes on the phone is an hour with him." And I said, "I'm super tired. I'm really exhausted. Just make sure this doesn't go too long." So when 15 minutes comes by, my assistant texted me. I said, "It might be a little longer." I was so tired. I was lying down on my couch with a pillow over my eyes going, "Hey, James, what's going on?" I was prone. And he said, "This is going to be the last season." So I sat up and was like, "Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting." I did not expect that.